So one of the important things that I teach in my program is first self-analysis. There's a questionnaire, which is an assessment, and it's unlike other assessments because it measures your thinking and behavior when you're in the posture of influencing someone. It's not just a general theory of personality. But although we love to learn.
Welcome to the Making Sales Social podcast, featuring the top voices in sales, marketing, and business. Join Bryn Tillman and me, Bob Woods, as we each bring you the best tips and strategies our guests are teaching their clients, so you can leverage them for your own virtual and social selling. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Making Sales Social. I am very excited to have Elaina Zucker here. She is a seasoned businesswoman, author, consultant, speaker, and trainer. Her acclaimed training program, Secrets of Influence, is both a corporate program and e-learning program, and it's based on her best-selling book, 7 Secrets of Influence. She has taught thousands of people and organizations all over the world and is now also bringing this to individuals through her e-learning version. Elaina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bryn. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me as your guest.
Well, thrilled to have you, and I know that you're going to bring such value to our audience. Before we jump into your brilliance around Secrets of Influence, we ask all of our guests one question, which is, what does making sales social mean to you?
You know, it's such a great question, Bryn, because I became an expert on influence because of my sales background. And so that was the important foundation on which I built my unique theory. So I was in direct sales at age 18. Here in my native Montreal, selling encyclopedias door to door in the freezing cold. And later I moved to New York and became an organizational consultant. But there was always this very strong base of selling, which it is really, if somebody doesn't sell something, nothing happens. And so I learned to refine these skills and codify them. And when you say social selling, this is what comes to my mind. I'll just share it. So back in the day when we did conferences live, before COVID, and you'd go to the opening event and there'd be like hundreds of people, everybody wearing a name badge with their drink in their hand and not knowing who to talk to. There you go. Wearing your badge, which said your company and your position. And I had 20/20 vision, and I was very, very focused because sometimes I was a speaker at these conferences and sometimes I wasn't. And often I'd pay my own money to get there. And I would spend that opening event not looking in people's eyes, unfortunately. But the first thing I looked at was their badge, and I was screening who I wanted to talk to later. Were they a corporate decision maker? Right? And so I did that kind of screening and sifting, which we now do on LinkedIn.
Right.
So when you asked that question, I thought, yes, this is the brilliant advantage that we get from social media now, because we can just touch a button and do that kind of filtering without, breaking our eyesight. And by making proper human contact with people instead of just looking at their badges.
Oh, I love that. That's a new perspective I haven't heard yet. So that's fabulous.
Oh, good. So I just thought of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So I want to jump into influence, and I'm going to start with like the most simple question.
Sure.
What is influence? What's influence?
Okay. Well, influence according to the dictionary, this is kind of fun. Influence is a set of skills, and it is the action of having another person change their attitude, beliefs, or behavior. Now, you will not observe the change in attitude, right? The only thing you can observe is the behavior, but that's basically the definition. And an archaic definition of influence, which is very interesting in the dictionary, says that influence is the ethereal flowing of a fluid said to change the hearts and minds of people. It's a magical fluid, right? And I thought that was so interesting because, I mean, this is an old Webster definition, but like magic, influence, when it's done with subtlety, seems like magic. And yet it's just a set of skills that anybody can learn and master and use for their success. So I don't know whether one of your questions is influence manipulation.
Yeah, keep going. I
But
love it. Let's
let
talk
me
about
just
that.
address that, because some people, when they hear the word influence, it has a bad rap, because it seems like we are being hit by so many messages these days, political, what's wrong with your health, your car, your roof, etc. And we need to be aware of those messages and how they are affecting us. And so people think that influence is manipulation. And, if you think something is bad and unethical, you will not do it, because you'll have a psychological barrier about it. And so what I say is that there's influence is a power like electricity or nuclear, and you can use it for good or bad, right? And it's powerful. If the better you are at it, the more powerful you are. And the way that I like to think about manipulation is that positive influence is, I like to look at it from two perspectives: the intent and effect. So the intent is, are my intentions honorable? Do I intend to give you benefit, teach you something, make you better in some way? So that's my honorable intention. And effect is, how do you feel over there as a result of our interaction? Do you feel that you've been enriched or enlightened or learned something? And if we can answer those positively, then we would say that's positive influence. So I just wanted to add that, because often it's something people ask. All right.
So
Next.
I'm gonna go one deeper in this because this is a conversation I've had for many years. Is manipulation always bad?
It's a great question. I mean, if you're, a parent trying to get a kid to do something, and you're, using all your adult tricks because it's for their own good, then it's not bad. Okay, so, that's an example. In the business arena, I would have to look at a case by case.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so in manipulation, we think always as people, but we manipulate data. We'll manipulate even programs, right? So it's always been a question because it really, that even more than influence, manipulation has this really bad connotation, but I don't believe it's always bad. But I thank you for it's a case by case for sure, and I love that. I will say, as a grandmother, I am
No
manipulated
way.
by. Oh yeah, I have two beautiful babies, but
Wow.
I am manipulated by them all the time, and I'm
Right. You're
not
just,
complaining.
I mean, absolutely, just putty in their hands. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun. Yep. So I'm a bubby, and I love it.
Oh, I love that.
So let's just talk a little bit about influencers. Is this a skill that they're born with? Can you learn to be an influencer? What does that look like in your work?
Well, it's a great question, Bryn, because like I had this trademark and this book, 25 years ago before we had YouTube and Instagram and all of that. And so the word influencer, as it's used in common internet lingo, means, you have 500,000 followers on X, right? And this is not that. So, what I am selling is a set of skills. I like to say that influence these days, it's not what you know or who you know. It's what I call portable power. So, if you get laid off or your network disappears for some reason or another, you carry these skills within you. So to differentiate this from the influencers, who have, selling a cosmetics brand or something, this is not that. Now, you can have very strong influence skills and be an influencer as you are.
Thank you. I try
So,
to influence for good.
for good, right? And so, what I came up with on using the foundation of my selling skills, and then my later getting graduate degree in organizational psychology, I wove together my real world experience and some academic rigor to create my own unique theory of influence. Because I find a lot of people, I'm not saying who, but have never really had to sell for a living and are, peddling influence. And really, the only way you really get to know is from failing a lot, which I did, and learned a lot from it. And so, what I'm teaching, basically, I am teaching people a way to have more confidence and more options when they set out to influence someone. And so I just want to, as we said earlier, we're being bombarded by so many influence messages coming at us. So one of the important things that I teach in my program is first self-analysis. There's a questionnaire, which is an assessment, and it's unlike other assessments because it measures your thinking and behavior when you're in the posture of influencing someone. It's not just a general theory of personality. But although we love to learn me, right? We all love to take these assessments. That isn't really the most important lesson. And you know this from selling 101, that the most important lesson is using, there are 6 styles, which I won't go into now, but people find out what their profile is across a spectrum of 6 different styles, strengths and not so strong. And then we use that as a prism through which to assess the influence styles of the other. So, I say it's like having better radar. I mean, those cues were there all along. You just didn't have the equipment to find them. So that's the easiest way to describe that.
So you can learn influence, is what I'm
Exactly.
hearing. You can learn.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So if you could, before we start to kind of wrap this up, can you quickly go through the 7 secrets of influence? Just kind of high level chapter names almost, right? Like what?
Well, what I will do is describe, let's say, 2 of them
Okay.
that are vastly different from each other, so you'll get the idea. So, for example, one style is called telling. And then I gave it a little corporate twist and I called it analyst. And so I don't label a person as a teller, but rather this has been your default. Like this is what you do because you don't know that there are other ways. And that's why people have more confidence once they learn this. So this style is one that uses, as you said earlier, data, logic, facts and figures, evidence. So lawyers maybe would use this. Okay, so that's an example. Like another style, which is very different and the polar opposite, is what I call idealist. And it's called gelling. It means that your ideas gel with another. And a good example of this would be someone who is offering a vision of the future. Martin Luther King. I have a dream. So it's a very emotional and future oriented kind of style. Now, if I am predominantly the first style that I mentioned, and I'm trying to influence someone who is the second one that I described, how far would I get using facts, figures, statistics? Not very far, because if I'm the other kind, emotional, future oriented, I love big ideas, possibilities. I'm going to glaze over. Right. So the bottom line, because we're wrapping up, is that, it's the same old thing from selling, is just know your customer. This is just a different language. I'll just say that, love languages has gotten very popular. So this is that similar idea. Understand the language, and how do you understand it? That's what we're going to teach you.
Okay, I love that. And I think so we talked the comparison of influence and manipulation, but can we throw the word persuasion in for a moment? How
Yeah.
important, yeah, talk a little bit about how important it is to be persuasive when you're influencing decisions.
I think I would use the terms interchangeably, Bryn.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you looked up persuasion, I haven't lately, but I do think it's probably interchangeable. A gentle persuasion. This is not necessarily underhanded. It can be very transparent. And when this is used with teams, for example, everybody takes the assessment and then shares with the team. I just thought I'd mention this, so that team member that you thought, oh, I don't know why I can't get through to her.
Mhm.
Now you see. So it gives us more rapport and more empathy. And I also just want to say at the end, if we're at the end, is more confidence. When you think you only have one way to do something and it's pass or fail, it's kind of a trap, right? It's scary.
Mhm.
But if you know that you're experimenting, if you think about it that way, and you have 5 other routes to try, then you feel more confident. Well, if this doesn't work, I'll go in another door.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. So, as we kind of put a bow on today's conversation,
Okay.
is there a question I should have asked you that I didn't?
Oh, don't think so. I think I told you the origin story. I mean, a lot of
Mhm.
people ask, how did you come up with this? And the thing about manipulation, I think, yeah, you
We covered
covered
it.
you covered the bases, my dear. You're such a smart interviewer. I love it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. You're
You
so
know,
fun to interview.
well, you caused me to do some good, deep thinking, so I always appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it too. Thank you so much. So if our listeners are like, oh my gosh, Elaina, you're amazing, how would they get in touch with you?
Okay. Well, the easiest thing is my website, which is easyinfluence.com. And
It's easy.
it's easy. And my email is easy for you. That's the letter E, Z, number 4, letter U, at easyinfluence.com.
That's awesome. And I believe that and your phone number are in your LinkedIn profile.
Everything's in my LinkedIn profile, and I love to hear from people. If there are questions that this smart lady didn't think of, or if there's anything you want to ask me, please don't hesitate.
I love that. Thank you for all of your insights today. And to
Thank
our,
you.
uh, gosh, definitely my pleasure for sure. So, and to all of our listeners, when you are out and about, don't forget to make your sales social.
Don't miss an episode. Visit socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Leave a review down below. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and what you want to hear from us next. Register for free resources at linkedinlibrary.com. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.